All right, so I'm gonna do this video. It's Ask HershNoeie. I don't know sometimes if people are a troll. So I thought this person may have been a troll, and I asked them to additional questions, and they were not a troll actually. And how I found out that they were not a troll is because I looked at their Facebook and different things like that, and just kind of looked at different things because I don't want to entertain trollism. I know that's not a real word, but I created it. So I didn't want to entertain it. But this person had a question. And before I get into that, make sure you join our Discord, like I typically say before, because we have a whole lot of different questions that we talk about on there and topics. But this person, and if you see me looking off, it's because I'm reading the email. And they said, "Hi, HershNoeie. I hope you're doing well. I have a couple of questions, but first off, I want to know how are you feeling during this time that we're living in? When I was younger, I am 23 now. I dated someone who was black. And now she's white, by the way. She stated that when she dated this person in high school, a lot of people in her family didn't like it, but she continued to date that person anyway. And she never thought about it when she was dating, that she was just dating somebody, right? They broke up because she said because high school love is not real. I don't know if that's true or not. I know a lot of people that got married in high school, and they're still together. So I wouldn't say it wasn't real, but yeah, there's a lot of puppy love at that time. But anyway, so afterwards, her family told her never to date someone who's black again. They just didn't agree with it. And same thing with her sister. She said her sister was against it. Later, her senior year, she dated another black guy. And at this particular point in time, her sister was pretty vocal about it. She didn't tell her parents. And she said that she felt like dating interracially helps end racism. And uh, the reason why she says this is because her sister went on a double date with them. And when she went on the double date, her sister's date, hung out with this girl's boyfriend. And so she was talking to her sister about it and explaining different things and going over a lot of different things. And she said over time, her sister felt like, yeah, I understand a little bit more about some of the issues going on and some of the discrimination because she got to see a lot of over discrimination, I guess. Because the way she writes it is that her sister got to see some of the things that her and her boyfriend went through, right? And she goes through and lists different little instances that happen from being followed to the store, nasty looks, him being accused of stealing a magazine once, just different things, right? And so her sister has softened, so she goes on to say, my sister has softened her tone in terms of interracial relationships and, in fact, started dating someone a couple of years back who is black. So, my question to you, do you think that dating interracially ends racism? She says that now her sister is a lot more understanding, obviously. And so that's her question. Do you think that? And she goes on. She talks more and more and more. I mean, we're talking a big email. Nothing wrong with that, but it's a big email. And sometimes I don't read a lot of emails unless it really grabs my attention. I'm like trying to think what's up with this email, which was the case with this. But it was a fairly long one. And so she goes on talking about white women with black men, and should what are my thoughts about more white women doing this, that type of thing. Look, I don't think that. Let me answer this in many different pieces. Do I think that a person who dates interracially is not racist? No, that's not true. Because there are many instances of people who date outside of their race or a different skin tone, and they're as racist as can be. There's a lot of bigots. There are a lot of bigots who will date someone of a different skin tone or race and still hate on somebody else that maybe is not of that purview, right? Not of that purview, not of that skin tone. So just because you are dating someone out of your race doesn't mean that you're not a bigot. Also, just because you adopt a child, foster a child of a different race doesn't mean that you can't be racist towards those individuals. Just because you have friends or relatives or distant relatives or cousins who are of a particular race doesn't mean that you cannot be racist towards people in that skin tone. It has nothing to do with that. Doesn't matter how many relationships you've been in, none of that. None of that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, do I think that dating interracially stops racism? No, I don't. I don't think that. What I do think it does do to some degree is in the situation with your sister, it gives someone a little bit of a tiny snippet of perspective. I think it does do that. If a person is willing and open to see it, it gives us a tiny picture into some of the situations and some of the things that people who look like me have to deal with. Excuse me. So I think in that instance, when you immerse yourself in another culture, you start to learn more and more about the culture. It doesn't mean that you know everything and you understand what it's like to be that culture, but you start to self-education. And I'm big into self-educating yourself. You can't pay for that. You can't pay for that. Do I know people who have dated outside their race just to learn? Yeah. Now, whether you find that controversial or whatnot, and it wasn't like that they didn't love the person that they were with or they didn't like the person. They just purposefully surrounded themselves around people who look like me, and then things just kind of happen. So it kind of was organically, but kind of wasn't. And they did that to try to learn. Now, I remember in high school, this white chick saying that, she dates black men because basically as a form of reparations. I think that's silly. And I think that is wrong. I don't, that to me, there's so many things with that statement that's wrong, that doesn't make sense. And I've heard that being said again by somebody recently. And it wasn't somebody I know, it was just online. And I saw someone say that. And I before I dismiss something as stupid, I try to sit there and think in my mind, how can I make this, how can you change my mind with your statement, right? Maybe I'm viewing something wrong. Maybe I'm a little bit, maybe I'm wrong. And I couldn't get there because you're basically, at that point, it seems like it's a fetish to me. Now, again, I could be saying it wrong, and maybe there are people who can give me points of view outside of this that may sway me. But to me, it's just I'm not there. I don't get that. But do I think that dating interracially gives you a different perspective? Yeah, it does. If you're willing to be a little bit open, because and from different sides, because you're able to see how society works. People who look like you see how society works when you date someone of another race, and vice versa. Everybody, you get to see how the world views you. I mean, it's there. You see what I'm saying? So I think that in that aspect, yeah, I really and truly do. But I don't think that dating interracially automatically ends racism, but I think that it does give you a better perspective. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. It does give you a better perspective of, if you're willing, of what people who look like me go through. You see what I'm saying? It gives you a little bit better perspective. Now, and I mentioned too, just because you adopt someone, there was someone on my Facebook who had adopted a child. She was white. She adopted a child, but yet when you look at all who's black, the child that she adopted was black. If you look at her Facebook page, it had a whole lot of negative stuff about black people. So that goes to show that that is not true. That just because you have black family members, you can't be racist, or just because, you know, your wife is black and you're white, that you can't be racist. That's absolutely not true. I know plenty of people, maybe not personally all the time, but I know plenty of people who have a black wife and they hate black people. I just so that doesn't mean anything. How am I dealing with things? This is something I've dealt with since the time I was born. I was born in the South. This isn't the things that you're seeing now has always happened. It's just that now it's being captured on camera and it's being presented. This is stuff that people have been talking about forever. It's just that no one believed it. No one was really open to see it. And even when people did see it, they didn't care. And I think that now it is showing you really, I think the mindset of people are changing. For some people are never going to change, and you're never going to convince them. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. I cut those people out completely. You can't work with individuals like that. But those who have an open mind and are willing to understand, that's a little bit different. And this person to me seemed like one of those people that's trying to understand. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that that's a good place to start. I hope I answered your question. It's still a little early for me. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things at the studio too. So I'm like all out of it. But anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, join our Discord. Until next time, I will